Hello, everyone, and welcome to Girl Time Podcast. I am your host, Lanisha Huggins, and I am here with the beautiful Victoria Davis, who I met so many years ago at Ball State University as we were students there. And so today we are going to catch up with what she's doing because she is the founder and CEO of ClassyCurlies.com and also Make It Classy DIY Beauty Box. And so we're going to discuss her success as an entrepreneur. We're going to talk about how she is coping with COVID-19 and also the future of her business. So hello, Victoria, and welcome to Girl Time.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
Awesome.
That's fun.
And how are you today?
I'm good. Just trying to get out of the house when I can. Like I went out to walk for a little bit.
So let's jump straight into the questions. And so Classy Curlies is a blog that you started before you started Make It Classy. So tell us a little bit about Classy Curlies.
So Classy Curlies is like my first baby. Like that's now like almost a teenager. So I started ClassyCurlies.com in 2010. So it's been quite a while.
Yes.
And it has grown, over the past 10 years. It started off as a way for me to not only practice my writing, because at the time I was a journalism student, but also for me to reflect on my own natural hair care journey. So I was going from natural hair to relaxed hair. And it was kind of like a diary almost, where I was just, saying how I felt, different things that I would go through about my hair and how people reacted to it and all of that. And then it turned into, people asking me like, oh, you did this thing with your hair, how can you show me how to do it? So then it turned into not just me venting about things. It turned into like a how-to and tutorials and things like that. And now it's turned into kind of just like a resource for women in general. So whether you're looking for hair care stuff or healthy living tips or, anything in between there. So it's like hair care and beauty care related, but mostly like clean beauty. So really into looking into ingredients and making sure that people are educated when they're putting anything on their hair or their skin. But whether it's that or like a DIY recipe or, talking about meditation and mindfulness, things like that all women need, especially during this time.
Yes.
So it's a mix of kind of all of that now. So it's definitely grown.
That's awesome. And I read some of your blogs and I just love some of the personal things that you put into it and just about yourself. So that is beautiful. It's beautiful. And I'm so proud of you. So proud of you. So Make It Classy DIY Box. Can you tell us a little bit about the concept behind it and what it is?
Okay, so Make It Classy, it is a DIY beauty box, which is what it started off to be. I'll kind of explain later kind of what it is now, but started off as a DIY beauty box. So the whole concept was I would teach a bunch of DIY classes around Indianapolis. So people would buy a ticket, I would bring all of the ingredients, and I would be the instructor, and I would teach them how to make face masks, body scrubs, shampoos, conditioners, all those things. And people really love the experience. They're like, oh, this is so fun. I never knew that this ingredient was really good for my skin, or I didn't know that I could make a conditioner without a long list of ingredients of things that you can't pronounce on traditional, conditioners. So they love the experience, but they also express that they would like to do this at home, but they're not sure like what to buy or how much, or nor do they want to go to the store and buy all this stuff. So I was just trying to think like, how can I get all of this to them? How can I get instructions to them that will act as me as their instructor? And then how can I get the ingredients to them? And so that's where it's a box concept. So the whole idea is mixing and being creative and getting women to feel confident in what they're doing. So all of the recipes are very simple. You can make a face mask, you can make rose water, which you can use for your hair or for your skin. You can also make a hair rinse as well. So those are the three main kits that we have. But as of recently, so Make It Classy has been around for a year and like a couple of months. So we just celebrated a year like in April, which is really exciting.
Congratulations.
Thanks. But I also went to introduce some other products that are already made. So I have the DIY kits, but I also have ready-made products. So, conditioners that are already made, body scrubs that are already made. And that's really to just kind of wrap it all up and put a big bow on it to make it really like a destination for plant-based beauty, because I'm just really into ingredients and like what people are putting on their skins, because especially as women, if you look at, what we use, we use about 10 products every day, on average. And then we're exposing ourselves to about 200 different chemicals every day. And then we, come up with different cancers and infertility and so many other things that happens to our bodies. So this is a way for you to know what's in it, either if you're making it or to just trust where it comes from if you're just buying it.
That's good. And so inside of the box, can you tell us say if I choose a box with the rose water, what comes in that box?
Okay. I wish I had a box. I have a box here, but it's empty. I can show you. It's an empty box right here. So it comes like this. I really was particular on the design because a lot of boxes are subscription boxes, with this one, it's not. It's not a subscription box, but a lot of them are kind of like shoe boxes where they fold up and they're flat. And I didn't want that. I wanted it to look different and to stand out. So this is what it looks like. But if you were to get like the rose water kit, for example, it would come with a couple bags of fresh roses that are organic. It comes with a bunch of different jars, and all of those are glass so that you can reuse them for something else when you're done, and we're not, contributing to waste in the water and all that stuff. So it's very tricky about like the packaging. I just don't want us being wasteful, but it comes with a bunch of different jars so you can steep your roses. It comes with a bunch of essential oils like lavender essential oil that you can add in. That's that one. That one's very simple. The clay mask one, you can use that one for your hair or for your face. That one comes with like a bottle of aloe vera. It comes with Rizul clay, like a big bag. It comes with different essential oils and carrier oils that you can add in. So you literally mix it all up in the jar and you have it. So it's a fun little experience that you can do with your friends or for yourself if you just want to have like a self-care little Sunday.
Yes.
So
yes, I'm really feeling that. You kind of said with your Classy Curly, you've been doing that for 10 years now. And with your Make It Classy classes, that you've been doing that for 1 year, a little over a year. So that is amazing. I'm just proud of you all around.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So starting a business in the capacity, like where you were when you first starting, what kept you motivated to keep going even when like there were so many odds against you, or if there were so many odds against you?
Yeah. I mean, I think starting a business in general, if you're a Black woman, there's always things stacked against you, that's just period. So when it came to starting like Classy Curlies, like at first, for the first like 4 or 5 years, it was just kind of like me right in the closet. I took it seriously, but it was more of like just an outlet or a hobby. And then as time went on and I started doing like sponsored stuff, or like I did a pop-up at like Sally Beauty before. I started doing stuff like that. Then I was like, okay, I kind of need to like make this into a real business. So I had to like file and like I do taxes for it now and like all that stuff. Just keeping motivated with that is really just getting emails from people who started reading at the very beginning. And they're like, oh, I've been, reading this for years. It's helped me so much, or it's helped my daughter's hair, or whatever, it is. I always save those emails. So then when I have like downtime, I always go back. I'm like, okay, this is what makes me feel good. But as far as that, and then the DIY kits and Make It Classy, it's kind of the same thing, like just getting things from customers that are like, oh, like my hair has grown so much from using this conditioner, or I really love this and I pass it on to so and so. I think too, like just having people like the knowledge that they gain from it, to me that like really lights me up, because the whole basis of it is for people to learn what they are putting in their bodies or on their bodies. So for someone to recognize, an ingredient, like there was this woman, I was at a trade show one time, and she was like, you know, what's in the hair rinse? And I was telling her there's two different herbs. So there's one called nettle and one called tulsi, which is also called holy basil. And she was like, oh, I drink that in my tea. And I was like, yeah, you know, it's the same concept. You know, it's safe all the way around. You can drink this every morning, or you can put it in your hair and it flourishes. So just getting people to connect the dots, or, you know, even to get them to, you know, just think about things in different ways, because it not when you start with your beauty care routine, it spills over to other parts of your life. So you're thinking about, what am I eating? What toothpaste am I using? Like every single thing you start to think about. So just having that kind of start to move is really nice.
That's good. That's good. So how many classes have you taught so far since you started?
Since Make It Classy became like an official business, because before the boxes started, I was teaching classes through Classy Curlies for a couple of years. So I don't know how many of those classes. I mean, I was teaching those for maybe like 4 years, and I would do maybe like 4 every year, so like that. But for Make It Classy, I taught a few at the Monon Community Center in Carmel last fall, and then I held a Valentine's Day kind of class, self-care type of event last year, or that was this year, I'm sorry. So I mean, I have no type of idea. It's been like, yeah, and it's weird now to not hold like, you know, in-person classes, because I love like interacting with people in person, or even to do, you know, trade shows or any like type of big events, because I'm always at events. I mean, I've had like since last fall, I think last fall, from September to December, I had like 14 shows lined up. And by the end of the year, I was so exhausted. And I was like, I don't want to do anything. I don't talk to anybody. And then right when I was like, I had things ramped up and ready to start for this year, this all happened. So like I had like 5 shows that I had to cancel that got canceled because of this. So it's a thing, you know.
In being a part of your class, how do you determine what product goes with that person? Like, what's the best product for that person?
Yeah, so I always ask people, like, what are their pain points? That's the first thing I always ask. Like, you know, what issue are you having? That's the key. Whether they're trying to make something or they're trying to buy something that's already made. That's always the first key. So if they're like, hey, I have a lot of acne, or you can tell that their skin is really dry, or, you know, maybe their edges are not as full, their hair is breaking off. Like, I always start there. And then we evaluate based on, because every product has a different, you know, type of purpose. So I just start there.
That's good. That's good. So is there a limit on how many boxes that you have?
Yeah, so initially, before I introduced the products that were already made, there were 2 more DIY kits, but I ended up transforming them into the products that are already made. So right now I have 3 kits that you can buy anytime, whenever you want. You can buy them as gifts for yourself, whatever you want. And then I'll slowly add more in over time. So that's one thing that I've learned too, is not to like introduce, you know, 10 different products at one time, just because marketing, that doesn't make sense. You can't, you know, focus on each individual one. You have to start small and then grow for sure. So yeah, so there's 3, I mean, but you can get them however you want, whenever you want. And sometimes the classes that I have don't necessarily go with the kits. Like sometimes we'll make what's in the kit, or sometimes I'll make up something totally different. Like one class I did, we made a bath tea. And so it was full of like lavender and dried roses and all these things. That's not, you can't buy that anywhere. It's just something that I do at home. And so I just taught the class on that. So it just depends.
Oh, that's good. When you first started, how was it for you to continue to keep going? Did you like see other people doing something that you was doing?
Yeah, not necessarily. I mean, I've seen people who have DIY kits, but they all were either targeted to a different audience than mine, or they made things that I knew that I wasn't gonna try to make at some point. Like a company makes DIY deodorant. Like at this point, I don't have a desire to do that. So to me, I'm like, okay, that's great. You know, I'm glad that somebody offers that. Or if another, you know, the audience for Make It Classy and the audience for Classy Curlies are very different, which is what I've learned, a huge lesson. So the audience for Classy Curlies is they look like you and I. They're Black women, about 90% of them have naturally curly hair and they take care of it in some sort of way. But the Make It Classy audience is very broad. It is Black, white, Chinese, Mexican, every type of woman that you can think of, because really when you think of DIYing and doing it yourself, that's for anybody, you know? And so if they're interested in that type of plant-based lifestyle and, really trying to clean up their beauty routine, then, that's for any and everybody. So it really just, again, that's like the thing that I had to think about was how to market to each audience. And that's always the struggle too, is trying to balance two businesses that are different. Sometimes I'm working on Make It Classy stuff and I'm like, oh, I really need to like write this blog post for Classy Curlies because I have not written one in like a week. And so, it's almost like you have two kids and they both want your attention and you're like, okay. And sometimes I'm like, you know what? I'm just not going to do anything right now. Like, let me walk away and go get dinner or talk to the people in my house who I live with, and then come back and figure out where I want to start, because sometimes it can just be it's a lot.
Yes, I understand. So before you started Make It Classy, did you have a regular 9-to-5?
Yes. So I've worked mostly in journalism, and then a lot of like social media jobs. So I've worked in a newspaper, or as a newsroom manager there for a newspaper and a magazine. And then I worked for a TV station here in Indianapolis for a couple of years doing like digital content, that type of stuff. And that really helped introduce me into like social media marketing and all that stuff. I've done a lot of freelance work, just managing profiles and all of those things and trying to get different certifications. And because when you have a business, you're everything. Unless you're like a company that you're getting all these investments and all these different things, you're doing everything. So I have people that help me with certain things. So like people who I rely on for photography, because I feel like I have pretty good skill sets in a lot of things, but if I can delegate something to someone else and use my time to do what only I can do, then that helps so much. And I learned that the hard way too. So I just say, hey girl, you got time to take these pictures? And, she'll give me a timeline. A really good friend of mine, she does the design work for the boxes and any of the recipe cards that go inside of the box. So I have people that are, that I can delegate for different things that help, but yeah, it can be hard to try to figure it out.
Yes. Woo, girl, yes. I didn't understand how stressful that was until I got into it. And especially with this podcast and trying to post every day, because I don't post every single day.
I will tell you, podcasts, okay, so I used to have a podcast called Curly Conversations. Curly Conversations. Sorry, I thought it was something else. And it was for Classy Curlies. Now, this was before I started Make It Classy. And I already was like short on time, trying to squeeze everything in. But I was like, oh, I'm going to start this podcast. And I did it for 2 years and it was great. And at some point I got too busy and I was like, look, I gotta let something go. And it was either starting my boxes or the podcast, and the podcast had to go. But I think people really underestimate how much time a podcast takes. Lining up interviews, like producing the show, laying it out. If you have like different segments that you need to do, getting content for that, recording it, editing it. It's a lot. So kudos to you. I'm telling you, it's a lot, and I totally understand it.
I would say the hardest part is editing. Because I cannot sit still for 2 seconds, and I'm trying to like sit still longer than an hour just to record. I still got audio to put out.
I get it. And then just like getting music and artwork and a lot.
Which I am, the music and the artwork, I am really glad that my husband is a creative person, because I use some music from one of his songs, and that's my intro and my outro.
There you go. You gotta be creative. You gotta use your resources.
Yes.
Amen to
Yes, because
that.
it is needed. I feel like, thank God, because I don't know where I get music from, because I don't want it to be like just quiet the whole way through.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
girl,
It takes a lot of planning.
yes, it does. You mentioned a little bit ago about managing social media profiles for different brands. Are you still doing that, and how is that going?
Okay. So I still do that. So I do that through a marketing agency. So I work on a couple of different accounts just to um, manage their social media. So
Mm-hmm.
managing it and like there's your organic social media and then there's your paid ads.
Mm-hmm.
So when they want to launch new ads, it could be doing that, or it could be um, scheduling their organic social. It really just depends. But yeah, so like I do it for a hospital here that's pretty big, and they are doing their best during this time.
Mm-hmm.
It is a crazy time for everybody, but
Yeah.
especially in healthcare. So, they're doing their best to get information out to people and to keep people safe. So working with them, I've worked with packaging companies before, which was really helpful in like doing my own packaging
Mm-hmm.
because there was stuff about packaging that I never even thought about, like sustainable packaging, eco-friendly packaging, like all of that stuff would have went straight over my head if I hadn't, did anything with them. And so I'm always really grateful for experiences like that,
Yeah.
but packaging companies, some healthcare, there's another healthcare facility too. They're not here. They're in Wisconsin. So yeah, it gives you like a good variety of like
That's
things
good.
to work on for sure.
Yes.
And good experience too. You get to meet really fun people and sometimes go to fun events that they have to.
Yes. So you are busy.
Yeah, it's been, like, especially during this time, it's been, I'd say normally I'm on like 100 all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I know that like a lot of my friends, I'm not the friend that you can call and be like, hey girl, like I'm gonna come over today after work. Cause I'm gonna be like, I got too much stuff. Like I have a planner that I live by. So I
Yes.
live by this planner and my calendar. So like my Google calendar. So if it's not on there, if I didn't write it down, I will not show up and I will totally forget. And because I have so much stuff going on, I will forget if I don't. So I write
Mm-hmm.
it down immediately. Like this is where I'm gonna be. But normally I'm on like 100 all the time. Like I'm either like doing something for Classy Curly. So like um it could be like a photo shoot for like a magazine here or some kind of online feature, or I'm doing like a sponsored work for, some company. And then for Make It Classy, working with influencers
Mm-hmm.
or, writing out contracts for different campaigns and like figuring out, okay, this is how much money is in the pot. How are we going to divide this up between marketing and, all these
Yeah.
different buckets? So, I mean, it's really like like I said, I'm normally on like 100. I feel like right now for the past like couple months, I've been on like 80%, and that's
Mm-hmm.
because I can't leave out the house.
Yeah.
So, I've been doing what I can do in the house, but I still feel like it's been really nice to just take that 20% off, like dial it back a little bit
Mm-hmm.
and have that time to like breathe and recharge, because I told you like the last half of last year was nuts. I mean, like I had a show. I had most of the shows here, the trade shows. I had one in Atlanta, and then I had one in Chicago, and I was just always gone, and I was
Mm-hmm.
always just busy. So it's nice to slow down a little bit. But I learned that I thrive off being busy. Like when I don't have anything to do, I'm like, okay. If I feel like if I have a goal, if I'm not working toward that goal, then I'm like, what you doing? You
Mm-hmm.
should be doing something. But at the end of the day, I also have to tell myself, like, Victoria, sit down,
Yeah.
because you deserve that. You deserve to sit down. So this is
Yeah.
actually, if I wasn't gonna force myself to sit down, I got
This
forced to
is,
sit down.
yes.
So this was very
I
nice.
think that's everybody.
Yes, I definitely, like, God was like, everybody's
Have a
about to sit
seat.
down. So
Everybody
that's
on punishment.
yes. I've been misbehaving. So yes, that's exactly what happened.
You know, one of the things that I absolutely love about you is that you love what you do and you love
Yeah.
doing it. And I can really tell because, like I said, I follow you on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, everything. And so when I see what you post, how you word it, and some of the pictures that when you're at your shows, you look so happy. And I
Oh,
love
thanks.
seeing that because it really is motivation for me to get into doing what I love doing and being consistent with it. So I
Yeah.
love seeing that. So
Oh,
great,
thanks. I
great
appreciate
job.
that. Yeah. I mean, I always want people to, I'm always like the pep talk and motivator for people. You know, I have a
Mhm.
lot of friends that are like, I want to start this or I want to do that. I'm like, girl, if you don't jump on this thing,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
we don't have time to waste. Like, start working on it, you know,
yes.
even if it's little by little. I think that the issue that a lot of us have is we are really good at coming up with ideas, but it's the execution part.
Mhm,
So it's how do you get from point A to point B? And it's really about being disciplined. I mean,
mhm.
more than anything. So find a system that works for you to be disciplined and then go from there.
Yeah. I know for me, starting my podcast, starting different business ideas that I have, and actually moving slowly on each one, it was a lot of fear in the beginning because I'm like, okay, first of all, I got this job that requires like 80% of my time. So how would I have time for that? Or I'm thinking doubts in my head because why me, like
Mhm.
why am I the person to actually do this? Like maybe I can have the idea and then go tell somebody else that idea, but then the Lord say, hold up, no, that is not what I
I
said.
gave that to you.
Right, that's you.
Yes, I think, yeah, we have a lot, especially as women. I mean, I think just in society in general, we're always being like pushed down. We're always being, you know, just told we can't do something
Hmm.
or that someone else can do it better when half the time they're not as smart as we are.
Hmm.
But, you know, I really think that's what it is. I think it's just from how we grow up from little girls to women and think that we're told that we can accomplish and can do. So I mean, that fear is always there. You know, like I knew when I first launched Make It Classy, I was telling Brandon, like, babe, I don't know, you know, I don't know, like, I'm just gonna do it scared, but I just kept like, what if this goes bad, you know, like, what if nobody buys it, what
Hmm.
if this, what if that, and it's always just like, you just do it anyway,
Yeah.
because whether it goes bad or good, you've always had a lesson that you can carry with you to the next chapter that you have.
Hmm.
And so that's what I've learned, like, everything is an opportunity and everything can be a lesson no matter which way, you know, it really falls. But it's that fear that we have that's like, you know, I had met a girl a few years ago. I went to this blogging conference and she was saying how she wanted to start a YouTube channel, but she didn't want to be the only person watching her channel. And I was like, well, you
Yeah,
have
I
to start
know.
somewhere. I was like, so you know, that's when you pass it out to your friends and family,
Yeah.
like and subscribe. You know, every
Yes.
video you go and like knock on their door, like, hey, my video's up. Can you go? I
Yes.
mean, you have to start somewhere. And I think we don't want to start at the bottom. We want it to shoot to the top. We want it to
Fast.
instant, like 20 million
Yes.
subscribers. And if anything
Yes.
below that, that means we're afraid of it and we don't want to
Yes.
do it. So
Yes.
I'm like, well, you gotta start some. I mean, at first when I started my blog, like nobody was reading it. I would have like 30 views every day. And I think I was okay with that because I was just like, oh, it's just for me. And then
Hmm.
when I really started to think about it as a business, I mean, like there was a point where I remember it was like 20, maybe 16 or 17. I get a lot of traffic from Pinterest from my blog, but I just remember like I had like 85,000 page views. And to go from like
Hmm.
40 you know, to like something like that, like it literally just takes work. I mean,
Yes.
no, you'll go from nobody reading to like everybody reading.
Hmm.
So it just takes you being consistent. That is the most important thing, is being consistent in what you're doing. Like that's really it. I mean,
Hmm.
keeping up with what you tell your people you're gonna do, because if you have people who are listening to your podcast, if you have people who, I don't know, they look forward to your Instagram lives every morning because maybe you have
Hmm.
some motivational thing. If they come to check on Monday and you're not there, then they're just going to go find somebody else who can offer something similar.
Yeah.
But the more you do it, the more you feel comfortable, and the more they understand your story and they resonate with that, and they become, like a supporter, or advocate of what you do. And so there's no reason for them to go look for anybody else, because they know every morning at 9 a.m. you're going to be on Instagram Live.
Yeah.
So it's all about finding the consistency in whatever you want. So it's hard.
Yeah, it is. And also adjusting with the fact that there's going to be some changes.
Yes.
And learning how those changes will change, but just adjusting in a way of being consistent with what you do. So
yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, being flexible for sure.
That's good. So you are your own boss lady. How does it feel to make your own schedule, first of all, and to keep it and to change it however you feel comfortable? Like, how does that feel?
It feels good. I mean, it's nice to have like a flexible time. So like it just depends on like what you want to do, what's more important, and where you want to put your time. It's really nice to, be able to work, or like I'm really, well, prior to all of this happening, I would get up really early. So I would normally get up around like 5:30, 6 o'clock, and that's how I get stuff done. But I was always very adamant about going to bed on time. I've always been, even when I was a kid, I never had a bedtime. My parents never had to yell at me about the bed, because I would always fall asleep around 9 or 10 o'clock. And I am still the same person. It's between like 10 and 11. But I make sure I get 8 hours. If I don't get 8 hours, I am not going to be functional the next day. And it's not going to be like as good of a day as it could be.
Yeah.
So just trying to like put in, different slots, like what's more important. One thing I did learn is like time management when it comes to what I'm going to accomplish. I think sometimes I was like over ambitious in what I was going to achieve for that day. So I told you I live by my planner. So I would write down like 10 things in this planner and expect that I was going to get all 10 things done that day, which obviously I didn't. So I would only do, get through like maybe 4 or 5. And some of them are really big things. I don't know where my mind was to say that I was going to do that. But I would get through maybe like 4 things. And then that leaves, like 5 or 6 other things still there. Well, then at the end of the day, I'd be all stressed out because I'm like, I didn't get through any of this stuff. I still have all this stuff to do. And so I would like bring those 6 things over to Tuesday.
Yes.
And then Tuesday, I got those 6 things plus the 10 things that I put on there. And I'm like, so then I'd be mad again. Like, why didn't you? And you're not working hard enough. You need to be getting up earlier. And I'm like, no, that's not what you need to be doing. You need to be realistic about what your life is, because you also live with 2 other people. You cook, you clean, you do all these things. So it's like, no. So now I've gotten to the point where I put like 2 to 3 things on there. That's it. Because I just noticed too, if I see that long list, I get overwhelmed and I don't want to do anything. So I put 2 or 3 things on there that like, that's it. 2 or 3 things, whether how small or big it is, that's going to contribute to whatever my goal is. And I do that. And when I do it, I feel good. But even if I don't finish one of them, I feel okay with putting it to the next day, because it's just one thing. And it just frees up other parts of your life too. So you can, hang out with your friends and hang out with your significant other and all those things. It just gives you more time to live, because I actually enjoy like the stuff that I do. It's hard not to work. So sometimes like I think I've gotten so much better, but like a couple years ago, I mean, like we'd be watching a movie and I'd be like blogging, like writing, typing my whole thing, and that was okay. And now I'm like, no, this is like our precious time. We're not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. So let me go put this down. I'll see this later. So it's just learning things over time and how you work and what works best for you. And it's always a process of learning. It's like you never got it down packed like you think you do, because there's always something that like disrupts your routine and you're like, oh, okay, I gotta start over.
That's good. I love this conversation. I do want to say that.
I do too. I love girl time.
Yes, girl. I need it. Like, I need at least twice a week of
Yes.
girl time because it makes me better as a person.
Yes.
I'm not grouchy because I got
Yes.
all my feelings out that I can't tell my husband.
Yes.
Because sometimes it's about him. So
Yeah.
so it
Totally
is
understand.
needed. It is needed. So how do you balance it all? I know that you said that you have your planner and your organizer and your Google Calendar. How do you find balance in every aspect of your life?
Uh, I don't know if you ever truly balance, because sometimes I feel like for example, if I have like, oh, okay, for good example, I remember before I started Make It Classy, for Classy Curlies, I was doing, I don't know why I set myself up like this, but I was doing a healthy hair challenge that was 30 days long. And so the enrollment would open and people would sign up on this website. And then I had to like do every single email for 30 days that they would get. So that was a thing on its own. It was that. And then I think I had an event that same week. And then I had something else. So it was like 3 or 4 big things that one week. And it felt like finals week in college. Like I remember saying like, this is the worst. Like I cannot wait for this week to be over. And I thought about it like, I set myself up for, nobody's making this schedule but me. So like I'd never done that again. That was the worst. It was like hell, because I was like, I had just so many things I had to balance and try to do, and I had a deadline that I put myself on. It's hard. So sometimes when you have a lot of things, so say if like a new product line is launching, sometimes I'm really focused on that, and I have to be like, hey babe, can you wash the dishes, or like, could you hold that part down while I do this? So sometimes you're doing really good at this, but as far as like being a good significant other, or like taking care of your house, you might be a little lower than, you know what I mean? So it's really not a balance. You never balance it. I try to create like boundaries more than anything. So, obviously if we're doing something, like watching a movie or something, like not on my computer, or if like me, Brandon, and Junior are at like the park, I'm not on my phone, or, so I've gotten better too about the weekend. So usually if I get an email on the weekend, I won't respond. I might look at it, but I won't respond, because I'm trying to keep that really to myself.
Yeah.
And so, and I started that really like last year, which is crazy because I literally was working like around the clock 24/7. So if you send me an email, you would probably get an email back within like the next hour. And now I'm like, it's the weekend. I'll get you back on Monday. Like unless it's like, oh, the building's on fire, something like that. But if it's like anything else, I'm not going to respond to it, because that's the time that I should be relaxing. And I didn't used to do that. I used to literally just work around the clock. Like I was always thinking like, okay, I need to write this blog post. I was formulating ideas and making content calendars, and, reaching out to do sponsored stuff, or, signing contracts for somebody that I've already agreed to do something with, or trying to, do my Instagram, make it pretty, and make it captions, and, all of that stuff. It's just hard when you do everything, like I said, but I've gotten better at delegating. I had an intern for Make It Classy last fall, which was great. Oh my gosh, she's so great. And she still does a lot of stuff with me now. And then when I have shows, I recruit help, because I know that, some of these shows are from, 10 to like 8, but you have to move in like 2 hours before, or if it's a show out of town, you have to move in the day before. And I got like big backdrops, and, these boxes aren't small, and all the, flowers and tablecloths and all of that. Like I remember I had this one event, I almost got stuck there by myself. It was outdoors, and we needed a tent. So I got the tent there, and I could not set this tent up by myself to save my life. And I was like, this is the struggle that people don't see, like stuff like this.
Yeah.
Or like when you run out of something, or like, man, it gets hard. So then my friend, she ended up just happening to be downtown, like literally around the corner. And so she helped, but I was just like, what do you do?
Yeah.
You know, like there's so many things that you just have to be flexible with and adjust because life
It's a
just
lot.
happens.
Yes, it does.
So yeah, I think I've just done better about boundaries. Like, you know, this is the time for this. Or I used to bring my computer to home when I would go visit my parents out of town, and I don't bring it anymore. Like it can wait. I'll see you when I get back to Indy. But before I would bring it and I'd be working on stuff on their couch, and I just don't do that anymore.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. You found your space and you create your space. But it's good because it's a learning process. Everything that we do is a learning process. And even if we don't get it right the first time, okay, what we're going to do different the next time. So it's really, really good that you found the space within yourself, you know, to even want to continue to do it. So I love what you're doing. Keep it up. You are amazing. Your work is amazing. Like I said, I'm going to continue to follow you on all social media platforms. So I'm really excited about what the future holds for Make It Classy and Curly Curls. So
thank you. I appreciate it.
Girl.
I appreciate it.
But that is all the questions that I have for today. Girl, I was just like, I want some more questions.
I love answering questions. It's always nice because when I was in journalism, I was always the person asking people questions. Yeah. And so it's nice to be on the other side because I feel like I don't have to do as much work. I'm just talking and you know, it's just like conversation.
Not a lot to prepare for. Like all you need is yourself. So yes.
But yeah, it's nice. It's always nice.
Awesome. Well, that is the end of this episode. And thank you, Victoria, for sitting with me.
Anytime.
It is an honor and a privilege to have you. I don't think I said privilege right, but it is an honor and a privilege.
It sounded right. Here you go.
Girl, no, that time, yeah. But like I said, I am proud of what you're doing. Keep it up. Women need you, first of all. Men do too. But we need you because you teach us about natural stuff, and we don't get that all the time. So continue to do what you do. And like I said, we're going to make plans for you to come to Muncie and teach class. Yeah. So I will be emailing you.
Okay. Yes. I can't wait to go and do classes again because I miss that part.